This time I have a Vox DA5. This is a 5-watt DSP processed guitar practice amplifier. If you think you're going to hear me play some guitar on this one, well, no, that's not going to happen. I might strum a few chords, but I'm not playing anything. Catch me on that one. Anyway, this one's totally dead. Let's see what's wrong with it. Back in the shop, I've got a little Vox 5-watt practice amplifier today to deal with. Apparently this one's completely dead. So before I go any further, let's just check what it'll run off batteries or the power adapter. I have the correct power adapter for it here. We're going to check this out and then get into it and see why it has no power. So make sure that the power supply is putting out power to begin with. And it is about 17 volts. Power supply is what it's rated at. It's rated at 12 volts, but it's not regulated. The regulation's in here. So under no load, 17 volts is pretty standard because the capacitor can charge right up. I'm going to pull the back off of this unit so we can get into the back and see what the scoop is, what's going on, why it's not working. It doesn't work on batteries or off of power. So it could be something minor, it could be something major. We'll find out once I get into it. It's manufactured in Vietnam. Like everything else, right? Oh, this is going to take too long. Let's use the real screwdriver. All right, there's the back cover off. Now I can remove it, and I'll just unplug the speaker. So now I can check the amplifier board itself and see where the problem is. Okay, let's check for voltage first of all, to make sure that we're getting power on the board, which we are. And we've got power at the switch. And when I turn on the switch, do we get power to both sides of the switch? Get power to one side here. Okay, where's the power on the other side of the switch? Well, maybe that's the fault. Maybe the switch is foobar. I got power there. I got nothing there. Well, let's just trim that back a bit. Make sure I'm actually making a connection on the switch, but it could be the power switch is bad. That'd be nice for a change. Just make sure that I've got some actual metal to make contact with there and that I wasn't just hitting the insulator. Alright, the switch is on and there is no voltage, no power. So the next thing, let's bypass the switch and see if the light lights up on it. So there's the, might be hard with that on. Oh yes, we got a bad switch. See, the power light came on this time. And the switch is bad. Okay, well, we know what we gotta do. We gotta get a switch for this here. I tell you, these switches are kind of an effort to get out of here. You kind of gotta work them back and forth. There we go. Now the switch is free. I guess the next thing I'll do is I'll just clip back the heat shrink on here and get the switch out of here. Connections are good on here, but it's just the switch itself is no good. As you'll see if I apply power. Watch the switch work now. Of course, now it works, right? Now the switch works. Prying it out of there got the switch working. Let's see what went wrong with the switch. Now these ones can normally be popped apart. They're just plastic switches held together with little plastic tabs. You can pop the switch apart and see why the switch is intermittent. Is it the? I'm thinking it's probably more than likely the contacts are a bit burned, and maybe it's fixable. Maybe I'll have to make a trip into town and pick one up. I don't have one this size, but we'll see. So these switches are pretty simple. There's a little spring and there's a little ball bearing and a little switch contact that goes back and forth. And basically the ball bearing sits on this spring right there, and then there's a little lever that pops back and forth. The ball bearing rides back and forth and it switches this back and forth. And as you can see, the contacts here look to be a bit pitted. Definitely look to be a bit pitted. Oh yeah, they're pitted down here too. Now whether I can fix that or not, or whether I'm going to have to break down and go and get them a new switch. Might be able to clean these contacts off and just scrape the crap off of them. I mean, this is not a high voltage, it's low voltage. We're talking, 12 volts is what this thing runs on. So we're not talking a lot of power on this, and I might be able to get away with just cleaning off the contacts and getting the switch functional again. Otherwise, I have to go make a trip down to Burnaby and pick one up. Yeah, I could order a switch, but by the time I pay shipping, that's going to cost me more than it'll cost me to drive to Burnaby and pick one up. So I always have to weigh that in. Just if I'm going to order something, is it going to be more cost effective to order it and pay the shipping charges, or go and pick it up? And in most cases, it's go pick it up. It's cheaper. So just scrape those contacts, and I'll scrape the contacts here as well. I'm not sanding them, I'm just cleaning them up a bit. Clean up the debris that's on them. And also around here where it makes contact. It's a fair bit of dirt in there. That's probably why it's doing what it's doing. We'll just clean that dirt out. It's sitting on top, so any debris and dust and stuff's going to just fall into the switch and contaminate it. And that's all it takes sometimes. So basically this is how the switch works. The spring pushes on the ball bearing, which pushes down on this, and it just flips this piece back and forth, depending on what way you turn the switch. Some of that blue crap from that other CD player will actually hold this ball bearing in place so that I can snap it together. There we go. Let's check the switch out and see whether the switch works. Is it on or is it off? It should be off now. And now it should be on. On. Off. Excellent. Let's throw it back in and see if it works. Now it will. It will. Not see if it works. It will work. Guaranteed it will work. Alright, now I can hook the wires back up here. See, the wires are pretty short. That's okay. Use some proper solder on them this time, other than that crap that they put on at the factory. Lead-free garbage. Problem with lead-free as well, you got to get it hot enough, right? It has a higher melting temperature than lead-based solder. That's one of the things that makes it harder to work with, is that you've got to get things hot enough to melt it. Bring the heat shrink tubing back over the end of it here to cover up the connections. Again, it's kind of overkill because it's 12 volts. It's not like it's gonna, it's not like it's gonna short out against anything. And even if it did, the transformer only puts out 830 milliamps. So we're not talking a high power unit by any stretch of the imagination. This is low power, low wattage, low voltage. There we go. It turns on. Excellent. Let's start throwing this thing back together and test it out. And you guys thought I was going to play you something. Haha, not a chance. Because I used to play guitar when I was younger, and the bass, doesn't mean I'm going to play it now. I haven't practiced in probably 20 years, so no. I would take a little bit of practice before I would even attempt anything on that thing. First of all, the fingers have to get good old calluses back on them again, otherwise it'll tear up the fingertips. Anyway, this little Vox amp is functional again. Thanks for watching.